Good morning.
Hey guys, it is the final
FEMUR Friday! That was my guest appearance for the day. Go!
Now Katie's going behind the camera. So we're going to talk about sitting femur rotations. It's part 4 of FEMUR Friday. We did, what did we do, Katie? We did assisted hip lift. Now, what did we do?
It's too early.
Yeah.
We did static wall femur rotations, supine femur rotations, and
we did supine femur rotations. We did supine groin femur rotations, static wall, and now sitting femur. There you go.
See, it's Friday morning. You'll have to excuse us.
Exactly. Not 9 o'clock yet. All right. So we got one person watching. All right. So we're going to go through sitting femur rotations, and we're going to talk about the applications of that, what it's going to do for you when you may or may not want to do it. And so Kirsten's going to show us how to do it.
Yes.
All right. Starting position is going to take a scoot forward there, Kirsten.
A scoot. That's the exact measurement.
Scoot. One scoot. All right. So you're going to be sitting on the floor. This would be the sitting floor position. You're going to sit, try to get your torso, your spine straight up and down, vertical as much as you can. Your hands are going to be behind you. So if you can roll your pelvis up forward, a little bit more if you can. Good. Okay. Best you can from there. Bring your hands a tiny bit forward more. Like there. Good. And now try to get your shoulder blade just a little bit back.
There you go.
From there, you're going to tighten your quads to keep your knees straight. Pull your ankles back towards you like that. Good. And try to make sure how you will look at Kirsten's toes, how they want to really do the work. So relax your toes for a second and try to really get that work from your ankles. Good, and then you can pull those toes back. So from there, like we did with the static wall femur rotations, both sides are going to rotate in and then rotate out. Just like that. Really want to maintain that position with your quads staying engaged, feeling your pelvis is rolling over the top of your femurs. Where's my pelvis? Too early, I don't know where pelvis is.
I don't know either.
Somewhere around.
Cleaners might have it.
Maybe the cleaner is cleaning the pelvis. So you're going to do 20 of these in this position, and then you're going to go about another foot wider on each side. About there, really make sure those quads stay engaged, ankles flex back, staying tall through your torso. And again, 20 in that position again. And try to feel like the position where have your hands behind you. You're kind of trying to keep your hands in that position to stay there, but trying to unweight your hands and put the weight on your hips as much as you can. And then you're going to go in one more position real wide. Good. And still maintaining that position. Hips getting up and forward there. Good.
That's better.
You might feel, as Kirsten's showing us, that it's able, the more she does it, actually it's easier to get into that position with her hips. So as she's engaging all the muscles around her hips, especially in the inner thighs or adductors and your hip flexors and right in the front of your hips, as she's engaging all those muscles, as she tries to encourage herself to sit up tall and then rotate in and out, it's actually helping her pelvis to get into more, that would be hip flexion to keep her torso straight up. Where are you feeling this, Kirsten? Is that her name?
I'd say a little bit in the hamstrings.
On which side? On both?
Probably more the right, but that's my problem.
Uh-oh, you got a problem. So now you can relax there. So now we've done all the different variations. You can face the camera if you want. So now we've done all the different variations. This position, it's going to get your body a little more loaded. We got a couple comments there.
Just thumbs up.
Some thumbs up. All right.
And
Cool.
wave hello.
All right. So this is going to be a little more loaded position on your hips than when we did last in the static wall position. This is going to ask your body to engage more out of your upper body also, even though, again, we said we want to put the weight onto your hips, but you got to keep your shoulders back and keep kind of some load there. So even though you're weighting onto your hips, your shoulders have to be able to kind of bear enough relative weight so you don't tip side to side. Now that kind of comes from getting your hips to do the work, to be stable under you. This is great for people who can do a little more work or able to maybe let their shoulders relax. So if they aren't, we probably put them in a static wall position to do it. But if they can, and they can encourage, like we saw Kirsten, she got better, she did it. But someone who really has limitation in that pelvis being able to move, but is maybe a little more functional that maybe can get into, rather than, you know, you might just put someone in a sitting position doing knee pillow squeezes to start, but really if they can get into this position to really get that encouragement to get their hips to roll forward.
Can we just real quick touch on why it's so important to keep those quads
Sure.
flexed and those feet pulled back towards
Sure.
you?
So now if you get into it again, see your side view, Kirsten. So now if you try to totally relax your quads, let your feet go the other way, if maybe you could see that how her pelvis just kind of dropped posterior. So now if you do that again, tighten your quads, pull your toes back, and then that muscle action getting again, like we talked about last time in static wall, how we could say everything's connected, right? So from here all the way to her toes, her calves to her hamstrings, back to her glutes, and then to her erector muscles in her spine. As everything is connected there, we're getting that action here to create that movement, to create the motion of her pelvis. So if you don't focus on this, you can see her spine just totally drops back behind her. So she just really focuses on, again, really especially tightening those quads, that really encourage that pelvis to get up and to sit tall.
Yeah. And it's also helping us to kind of isolate the movement that we're trying to get out of that femur and that hip joint as much as we can. The more lax she is in her feet and in her quads, it allows her knees to bend a little bit. I don't want to get on the camera.
She just want to get in front of the camera.
But the more lax you are, the less you're keeping those quads tight and keeping those toes pulled back. It's a less isolated movement. So the room for error, or some of my clients will know I say stop cheating, that we kind of take that away and you're getting as much benefit out of the exercise as you can.
Definitely, yeah. So if she like sits like, you know, in a posterior position with her pelvis and tries to do that motion, we're not going to get the work in the right place. So as we're really asking, you know, we're trying to, hey, let's try to do this, get in this certain form, and it's going to encourage certain muscles to work. So really getting those hip flexors, those inner thighs to really get the pelvis to move in that position. All right, guys. So anything else you want to add, Kirsten, for what you felt doing it? Anything from?
It definitely made a significant difference when I was in the position rather than with my toes pointed and my feet flexed back compared to just relaxed. It really did feel like a big difference with my pelvis position.
Cool. Awesome.
Cool.
Perfect, guys. So that is our final FEMUR Friday. Hope you guys have a great weekend. We got Halloween coming up. Maybe we'll be dressed up in costumes next week.
Yeah.
Maybe.
John, we're going to get you, I'm telling you.
All right. So any questions about that, please feel free to comment, and please share this video to friends, and have a great FEMUR Friday.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.